Okay, guys, we are live. Welcome to every one of you. Now, well over 50 people, amazing crowd, and so grateful to welcome you from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. We're just about to burst into snow.
Ooh.
And my name is Dr. Silverman. I am with LifeVantage for 4+ years. And absolutely blessed. So today, guys, so as you see me, I practice surgical pathology. So I am a laboratory oncologist by designation, and I diagnose breast cancers, or I diagnose any kind of breast diseases. Today is the unprecedented Zoominar. I call them Zoominar because never ever we had a presentation with 3 doctors participating. Not only we have 3 doctors on panel today, well, 2 of them are actually now on the medical advisory board with LifeVantage. So how lucky you are. And both of them are absolutely outstanding individuals. Not only that they're walking the walk, but guys, let's start, let's say, with Dr. Nancy Bryan, who is a doctor of pharmacology. She lives in Arizona. I'm not undermining Dr. Melody Rodarte, who was voted one of the best doctors in Phoenix, but she's like me. She carries MD. But Nancy is a doctor of pharmacology, meaning that she knows drugs. That is actually her specialty. So for me to see a doctor of pharmacology, well-versed, published, known, to do this stuff, I don't know whether it's getting more of a validation, a better validation than this. And also Nancy may tell you her story, a little bit of her personal story with LifeVantage products and why. And mind you, every one of us, a product of a product, all 3 of us, we are on products experiencing health benefits. Now, Dr. Melody Rodarte is absolutely amazing. And she's one of the top class graduates, unlike me, but and she's got multiple credentials, and now she specializes in bariatric medicine. You're aware of what is bariatric medicine. She deals with obesity on everyday basis, and you know that North America, for some reason, is seriously prone to this. With this said, Melody, and thank you, Dr. Rodarte, for participating in this event, because yesterday you landed from Haiti, where she was doing a missionary voluntary job as a doctor, donating her time, her efforts, her knowledge for no money. So, and today she is jet lagged, but she actually volunteered. She said, can I be with you guys? And, we were debating, Nancy, and I maybe say no. No, I'm joking. Absolutely blessed. So, guys, let's jump on board and let's start this thing. So let me get, or the slides are kind of interfering with my presentation. So that's us. So, Dr. Rodarte, can you please talk to us about DNA and nutrigenomics?
I thank you for that. And you sell yourself short. You are brilliant. And I learn from you every time we talk. So I'm just excited to do this. And you forgot to say that we were going to do one. So I'm excited that 3 of us are doing it, because it's even more fun doing the more the merrier. And I learned from Nancy every time we talk too. And you were part of that medical advisory board for the longest time too, so quit selling yourself short. But I love this opening slide, talk to your DNA. because I think a lot of us forget about what nutrition does. And now it has become a household topic, nutrigenomics. It is the scientific study of the effects of nutrients and compounds on our body. And so we're trying to reclaim our health at that cellular level. And with that, I'm going to lead off with letting Dr. Nancy talk about that incredible protection that we need.
That's right. And you know, just one sentence that I may interject, guys, our DNA, what I've learned recently is only 2% of our genes are coded. That nothing we can do about them. 98% of our DNA material is not coded. That's why we are so excited.
That is
Dr. Bryan.
Well, and I agree with Dr. Rodarte. Sveta, please, you should never, ever, ever, ever diminish your abilities. We both are here because of people like you, and we are so grateful for you to do this today. So thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough. So today, let's talk about what we're going to be seeing here with free radicals. I just finished doing some testing with a few people a few hours ago, trying to get them to understand what is a free radical and why is this such a problem. Well, all the toxins that we see in our environment, be it from the Wi-Fi, be it from our cell phones, be it from things in the ground, from toxins that are pesticides. We have so many different things that are affecting our bodies. And when you look at this, we're talking about toxins destroying by being electrons turned into free radicals. What that means is they have a charge to them. And so when they spin out of control, they're literally bumping into all the different things in our cells and creating all kinds of damage to each one of our cells. So when we take a look at disease, what does that mean? When you're on a cellular level destroying the actual structure of a cell, that's going to go into tissues and it's going to start becoming organs. And eventually that's where you're seeing diseases take place. So the disease is a melding of those forces. And look at all the things that we're talking about. We're talking about heart, skin, eyes, blood vessels, immune system. The oxidative stress in that cell is going to affect all of those different areas in the human body. As we take a look, we want to see what are these toxins doing with inflammation. Look at the things on there, brain fog. Oh my gosh, these are things that we deal with every day. Everything from blood pressure, that's all I ever hear about all the time with medications, cholesterol medications, all the different medications, they're all there trying to treat each one of those little things, all caused by the same thing, which is inflammation. So when you take a look at oxidative stress, what Sveta just made a huge comment about, I know it gets complicated here with all the science, but what she's trying to say is that there are things on the outside that affect all of our genes. There's only a very tiny amount of those genes that are going to be what they're going to be. The rest are all going to be subject to this oxidative stress that we can change by doing things with nutrients. Look at the depletion of the reserves of low molecular mass antioxidants. So we have 2 low antioxidants. We have 2 inactive antioxidants of our own. And when all these factors come together, what you're going to see is oxidative stress from the outside and the inside working together, causing problems. And that's why this is so important that we take a look at reducing oxidative stress. So how do we do that? We do that with NERV2 activation. That's going to activate our own body's antioxidants. I can't express how important this is, that these 5 ingredients done subtherapeutically, small amounts, and what they do each individually is just picture a bunch of wires going to a dimmer switch, and each one of those ingredients turning on several of those, but not all of them. But together, when they all do it, then the switch goes on because it's 1,800 times more effective because each one of those is turning on different wires. And by doing that, we see 40 to 70% of oxidative stress reduced between 30 and 90 days. One of the most important things to me as in pharmacy is looking at certifications. The Banned Substance Control Group, they really study in-depth products to make sure there's nothing in them that shouldn't be there for athletes, yes, but also to make sure there's nothing dangerous in them. We also use the NSF certification. Those are really important purity standards that we're using when we make this product. We have, it says 6 patents. I think we actually have another one coming, but we have 5 international as well with 26 published studies. And all of those all do one thing that is the most extraordinary, and that is that we actually have a study now showing that it literally is the only supplement proven to increase lifespan. And that was amazing to me. So when you take a look at it, the antioxidants and the cellular trash being removed by those are the sole reason that we try to talk about the Nerve2. It's going to signal our own antioxidants hundreds of millions of times stronger than anything you can take on the outside to signal your cells to remove this trash.
All right, this was unbelievable, wasn't it? So now let's get into that guy, NRF2. Dr. Rodarte, what is NRF2?
It is, I love that line up there, but to make it simple is just saying it's the master regulator of the cell. And its purpose is to protect our cells from oxidative stress, from that wear and tear that's happening. And so when we age, that our NRF2, we need it to increase, and unfortunately it decreases as we start to age. And so you want something that can trigger it. And so I love this this slide because it talks about just that NRF2 pathway and why we are so excited to share this with everyone. Because what Washington State University is stating is that we may be on the verge of a new literature on the health effects of NRF2, which may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. Until now, we do not have something that is therapeutic and preventative at the same time at this potency. And so what we can look at when we start to look at that Nerve2 pathway is we can look at certain disease states. So if you type in NRF2 and neurodegeneration, there's that link that as neurodegeneration is happening, then types of dementias can happen, types of neurologic diseases can happen. And so there is a link, and we want to stimulate that NRF2 pathway to protect ourselves, to have that cellular response of decreasing stress. And so here's just another point talking about Alzheimer's type of dementia. And so that type of inflammation, it develops in the brain because of free radical damage. And at this point, we don't have very many things that really can reduce that inflammation and that stress. And we are now finding more and more articles starting to discuss that NRF2 pathway protecting us against Alzheimer's disease. Another way of just kind of talking about it, saying that NRF2 deficiency aggravates learning and memory deficits induced by amyloidopathy and tauopathy. And then we talk about MS. So the first drug out on the market to be an NRF2 activator is Tecfidera for MS. The second drug is for ALS. So we've kind of talked about this. We need NRF2 to be stimulated, to be used in order to decrease oxidative stress and free radical damage. And the key part between doing it naturally versus synthetically is we're going to have less side effects. We are more potent. One of the articles, when you go to PubMed and you read through it, you're going to notice that we do it better than a actual synthetic drug. And Dr. Bryan can definitely talk to that about synthetic versus natural. When we can do it naturally, we definitely want to do it that way. Our body knows what to do with it.
Nancy, isn't the component of dimethyl fumarate or Tecfidera is a varnish?
Yes, I know. It's incredible some of the things they start putting together when you start seeing different uses of chemicals. You know, it's like they use warfarin, Coumadin, and that was a component in rat poison. So it's pretty scary when you think about where they get some of these things.
Lovely. All right. So let's now, now it's the turn to my excitement. So guys, the reduction of free radical damage or oxidative stress is absolutely critical. And now I'm going to tie it up with one of my favorite organelles in the cell, which is called mitochondria. Mitochondria is that little things, quite a few of them in the cell, up to 3 to 4,000 in some cells, that actually controls the cell well-being or the cellular fate. And the excitement of us as physicians or different kinds of doctors in LifeVantage is, if you look at this NRF1 protandum, and I will tell you a little bit later about NRF1 protein. Dr. Rodarte magnificently explained to you NRF2 protein. But this guy, NRF1 protandum, is the only branded nutraceutical on the market. I probably can state it with a great degree of authority because I just reviewed the literature on therapeutic modalities for mitochondrial health. So mitochondria is, as I told you, it wears many, many hats. The most important hat of a mitochondria is it's our powerhouse. It's our electric factory. It gives us that energy that most of us are lacking past 20 years of age. If you have a brain fog, welcome to the lack of mitochondria. Another function of a mitochondria is mitochondria holds the key to our DNA. That's why it is so important. 98% of this DNA can be manipulated in a healthy way. How? But it also can be manipulated in an adverse way by bad mitochondria. So it's absolutely imperative to keep mitochondria healthy. And another thing is mitochondria is our cellular police. Those policemen recognize bad cells and give the signals to wipe them out. So if mitochondria is tired, diseased, aged, or what we call dysfunctional, it doesn't recognize bad cells, and then bad things happening like cancer, for example. So now let's connect free radical damage or oxidative stress with mitochondria. Mitochondria is very basically like it's a canary in a coal mine because it's naked. It's not protected from the outside stress from the free radicals. And free radicals destroy mitochondria, as well as mitochondria is that organelle that works so hard in the cell that it makes most free radicals in the cell. So it's like a double whammy. It's from the outside and it's from the inside. But if mitochondria is healthy, it makes its own protection. It makes its own antioxidants. That's when NRF2 is so critically important because it stimulates to make this antioxidants in the mitochondria itself. So these are some symptoms of dysfunctional or lazy mitochondria. And this study absolutely blew me away because, guys, look at this. 50 to 80% of children with autism have mitochondrial dysfunction. And we know that oxidative stress is also linked to autism, ADD, ADHD. So now, NRF1 guy. So NRF2 stimulates our cells to reduce that free radical damage. It turns on our vacuum cleaners. Well, NRF1 guy makes cells to make new, young, functional, vibrant mitochondria. So this to me is a one-two punch. We need to clean the old ones, but we need to make the new ones. So that's why, you know, I'm preaching both of them. And the bottles look very pretty these days. All right, Dr. Rodarte. Dr. Rodarte is amazing. She also has a passion for healthy skincare products. I'm wondering why.
I love skincare products because, you know, so many people, it's our largest organ, and we feel confident when we look confident. And, you know, I was 27 when I first got acne after having my kids, and I did not want acne, nor did I want to grow old showing my age. I wanted to stay looking young, where people look at me and say, are you sure you're not my nurse? Are you really not? Are you old enough to be my doctor? So I love our products because it is patented both for protection and repair of our skin. Nothing else out there is patented this way, to protect and repair. And it came about because of science. Again, we are in love with this company because of the science behind it. Louisiana State University used Protandim looking at skin cancers, and those are 3 journal articles that you can read, and and that's why True Science was born. And it was showing to not allow that cell mutation to happen, that growth to happen, and so it was protecting the cell. It's a 4-step process. We actually go down through that epidermis. That's where you want skincare lines to go down to protect every cell in there. So you have a keratinocyte, you have a melanocyte, you have a basal, you know, all of those make your collagen. They help you not have sunspots. They help you hydrate. And when all of those come together, you get shiny skin, you get glowing skin. And this is the perfect example. On the left, you see what retin-A's and retinols can do. They can bloat your cells up. They can disorganize. Now, I will tell you, we still use retinols and retin-A's, but now we have something even better than that. And on the right, you can see how nice that pink layer on the very top is. That is what you want to protect. Like Sveta said, I just came back from Haiti. I wish I could slather some of these kids and some of the skin with it just to really help them protect their skin and protect that barrier from dehydration as well as organisms. We need that intact skin. And if you can see that pretty blue color, that is just having hyaluronic acids and just a very dense dermis to lift up the skin and have a healthy skin. So this is an organ we want to protect, we want to repair, not only because of different skin conditions, but most of us don't want skin cancers. And so sometimes, you know, pictures are definitely worth 1,000 words. And so the upper left-hand corner, this is a gentleman who only did True Science on half of his face. And then he started to look like he had a stroke because part of his face was lifting. I'll tell you, I actually have had a few patients like this where I thought, they haven't had their Botox by me lately. And you can see that on the right-hand side, the decrease in the crow's feet. I see it over and over and over again where people's skin is just responding so much quicker than some of the other skincare lines that I've recommended. In the middle, you can see a burn heal without hypo or hyperpigmenting. It's returning to normal. And I've seen this with my own eyes. His skin, it's beautiful. That's not airbrushed or photoshopped. And on the bottom left, you can see just, I've seen this with psoriasis and eczema. When you activate that nerve-2 pathway, we can repair and protect the skin. Over and over again, we've seen this. And that's the beauty of the skincare line and why I can talk about it till I'm blue in the face.
And look at her, she's still 27. And glowing. All right, back to Dr. Bryan, because she also has a passion for probiotics and microgut.
I do. I'll tell you, you know what, we're talking about all of these things, and the number one thing we need to do is make sure it's getting into our system. And so why I love ProBio, it really is part of what Sveta talked about, Nerve 1 and Nerve 2 being that 1-2 punch. This is the 1-2-3. And I view this as one of the most important parts because when our digestive tract isn't working right, we're not going to communicate a lot of things that should be communicated. We're not going to absorb things that aren't being absorbed properly. So when you take a look at the probiotic, why this is so different is because it has a coating on it. That coating protects it. You're going to get over 60% of this probiotic into the digestive tract, and the proper bacteria, the lactobacillus, and those probiotics have to go in certain places. The lactobacillus needs to be in the upper portion of the small intestine. That's where it's going to be delivered. The bifidus needs to be in the lower portion of our digestive tract. That's where it's going to be delivered. And it's all going to go in an amount of time that is going to be like a time release. And that is when it's going to allow it to make a home in there. When it makes a home in there, that biome is what helps everything from our mitochondria to be produced right, to signaling things in our brain. There's so many components in our digestive tract that have to do with our health, and that's really important. On top of that, it has Wellmune in it. And what that is it's the ability, it's going to signal through these beta-glucans, our white blood cells, so that they become active but not overactive. We want them to be sensitive to the right things. We want our immune system to protect us against cancers and against autoimmune diseases, not to just be going willy-nilly. And because of that, that probiotic is going to be the thing that helps to take the NRF2 and the NRF1, making sure that gut lining is going to be appropriate and the right things are going to get crossed going back and forth the way that they should. And Dr. Sveta, go ahead and tell us about Axio.
Thank you, Nancy. Guys, yeah, it's like the microgut health. Now I'm going to be talking a little bit about the brain health. But guess what? Guess where do we produce serotonin? We actually make over 70% of our happy hormone, so to speak, in our gut. Now, Axio. Axio is, to call it an energy drink is a misnomer. It's a brain food. It's literally a brain food. And is it an energy drink? Yes, it is. How is it an energy drink? It gives you sustainable energy through the day. Let's say I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and that keeps you hydrated. It keeps me hydrated. So up at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's now approaching 9 o'clock in the evening in Edmonton. I'm in my office, bouncing between LifeVantage and pathology, and obviously wide awake and stuff. Now, the composition of Axio is so great, it's so healthy, because it provides you the sustainability, it provides you the brain power, it allows you to calm down, it allows you to focus, to concentrate, to think straight, and it actually allows to run fast and recover faster. And it's all through the composition. And you know, I'm not going to go through the every ingredient, but there are very few of them, but look how great they are. Antioxidants, quercetin, the healthy B vitamin complex, DMAE to stimulate our brain, green tea extract with multitude of healthy modalities, New Zealand pine bark, anti-inflammatory, lowering blood pressure, and we already went on serotonin path, and L-theanine is a precursor, what actually can help to make that serotonin molecule. It's amazing stuff. But I love Axio because I love the Axio because it gives us different flavors. You know, everybody's palate is different. If I like raspberry, it doesn't mean that, let's say, Nancy likes raspberry. Maybe she likes grapefruit, and maybe Melody likes grape or a dragon fruit flavors. And the general composition of those major ingredients is the same, but the flavoring is different, and the flavoring is a natural flavoring, and it is sweetened by stevia. There is no sugar. So people are asking me, oh, diabetics, or is it going to spike the blood sugar? None of the above. But you know, also my excitement came from one of the ingredients. Obviously, I am linked towards health. Look at one of the components, DMAE. In 1915, why are we so promotional per se on Axio and kids with autism, with ADD, ADHD, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome? Because what do they give to kids with ADD and ADHD? They give them Ritalin. And Ritalin, as far as I am aware, is an amphetamine. Isn't amphetamine a prohibited substance? And we give it to the children, right? So now in 1959, we knew that the natural product is going to make them better. So would I go basically for a drug? I will try to introduce something that is healthy and that is real. So, and guys, so to me, this is a great slide. We talk about health, and we haven't talked about food and other modalities of health. That's another talk. But when we talk proper nutraceuticals, you guys need to understand this is not a one-day affair. This is not a one-week affair, and this is not 1 month affair. This is basically all life affair now, because if you want your brain healthy and regenerate in a proper way, you need to give it time. This is not Tylenol. So as you see on this slide, how long does it take for our cells to regenerate? And not only we want to regenerate them, to reorganize them, but we want to keep us healthy. So why go off something that preserves my health? Like, look at Dr. Rodarte. She does look like 27 years old, seriously. So, and then, you know, Dr. Bryan has a tremendous story. I don't know, Nancy, would you be comfortable to share a little bit? Because we're great on time.
I know, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but basically one of the reasons I was so drawn to this company and the product was because I had gone through breast cancer in 2008. And Sveta is very familiar with the kind of breast cancer that I have. It's a rather rare one, and the gene expression that I have is called Leaf-Ferminis. And so even though I had gone through my surgeries and chemotherapy and I was doing all the things that I thought I should be doing. I thought I was the healthiest person I knew before that happened, but I still got breast cancer. And then after, for 6 years, I still could never get my cancer titers to be different, no matter how I seemed to eat, no matter how I exercised. And part of that had to do with the way my genes were expressing. Once I started on the NRF2, I saw a very small increase in just my energy just within a few weeks. And then right away, maybe by a month, I could tell I was starting to get stronger. But my cancer titers were still not where I wanted them to be. And over time, they were starting to go down a little by little. And then when I added in the NRF1 and the ProBio on top of it, what I saw was a significant change in how the synergy of those three things together worked. And my cancer titers ended up dropping from 30, going all the way down to below 10. At that point, my doctor could not believe what he saw. He just kept telling me, I need to hear more about it. I actually sat through one of my appointments explaining to him. And the reason is because over that period of time of about 2 years is where I saw all these different parts of my cells and my DNA start to have healing take place. And today I feel so strong. I can't tell you how much better I feel. And that's proven by my lab work. When you see my lab work, all of my lab work now is just perfectly normal. And that's because my body now is utilizing all the things that it needs. It's utilizing the foods that I'm using, and that NRF2 pathway is working with the mitochondrial pathway to give me proper health.
Unbelievable. And is it called nutrigenomics?
Absolutely. It is nutrigenomics doing its finest work, where we're going to see gene expression properly when we have the proper entities going into the cell.
Unbelievable. And guys, that's, you see our excitement. You know, I am on a road to Germany in couple weeks, and I'm going to present the study, my passion, breast cancer, NRF1, mitochondria, because it's all about health. And so guys, don't you think that we had, I don't even have a word of a gratitude to express my gratitude to those two amazing ladies. I think we had a tremendous, tremendous talk. Ladies, thank you very, very much. Guys, we did amazingly well on time. And that allows us an opportunity for you guys to type the questions to Nancy and Melody. I am not going to unmute any one of you because it's going to be extremely noisy. So please type your questions in the chat. And those two distinguished doctors are going to reply. Thank you, Dr. Rodarte. Thank you, Dr. Bryan. Unbelievable. The best webinar.
Pleasure.
Forever.
You're awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, question time. Why can't I hear? I don't know. Okay, no questions yet. Oh, one new message. Oh, amazing. Thank you. Is it being recorded? Yes. Guys, this is a very rare opportunity to have Dr. Bryan and Dr. Rodarte. You better ask questions. They are two very, very, very busy people. Can you tell me how okay, here comes. Can you tell me how this will affect scoliosis and spina bifida, Dr. Rodarte?
Well, I think you can just take that as thinking about inflammation. So scoliosis, there's a curvature of the spine. So then there's the effect on the muscles, the tiny little muscles between there, as well as with spina bifida, there's incomplete closing there to protect. And so what we're just doing is trying to decrease inflammation. And so if you decrease inflammation, that decreases, pain and discomfort, and hopefully increases function. That's what NERF2 is doing, is going in and releasing, our own antioxidants to decrease sclerosis and inflammation.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Of course, absolutely. You don't know. What we have is a modulator, cellular modulators. How is it going to affect the functionality of the whole body? Can children take Axio with DMAE, Dr. Bryan?
Absolutely, yes, they can. And the thing is, what you need to understand is that all of those neurotransmitters that are working, they are able to function so much better with DMAE. I know that we have children here in the Valley that have had autism that we've worked with as young as 4. We have seen just tremendous results. What I try to do as a whole is I use about a half of a packet, or I just have someone mix the whole glass and give just half of that when they're under 8 or 9 years old. And once they reach about 8, 9, or 10, at that point, I'll have the parent work with them and see if they do pretty well taking a whole. But many of our autism kids will take one in the morning as they're heading off to school, and then they'll have another one when they come home, because that allows them to focus when it's time for them to get their work done. But I feel very comfortable with children taking Axio, and you just have to see which one they like. They're like us, they like different flavors, and you sometimes see different things with different issues with kids. If they tend to be ADHD or if they tend to be ADD, it just depends on if they have autism, and a lot of other things that are going on there. But it does a tremendous amount of things to help open up communication with them. And gosh, Sveta, I wish we had one of the slides that shows what it looks like after just 2 weeks of a young man who was, I say young man, he was a child, I think he was 6 or 7, and the writing on one side of the paper versus the other in just 2 weeks' time was so much more clear, legible, and organized. And that's just a very short period of time. So you see that action with Axio right away.
Awesome, amazing. Does the green tea in Axio affect per tandem? No, it doesn't. Short answer, it doesn't. I don't recommend people to guzzle the whole bottle of Axio. Just drink it normally. So it will not affect the synergy.
That's a very good point too, because a lot of people, I have had that experience with people that come to me where they'll just like down it. And really it's meant, I don't believe, to be drank like that. I think it should be just over a period of, maybe 20 or 30 minutes.
And especially when people just, just drinking all at once, they sometimes get into a condition which is called niacin flush. And that scares them because, I get funny sensations or I get funny rushes. So drink it normally, like a normal drink. Can you take NRF1 and NRF2 together?
Yes, that's good. Part of the activated essentials is you want to help both the mitochondrial health as well as the overall cellular health. So we've had some people say start NRF2 first for a little while and then add the NRF1. I've done it just getting people healthy and starting them both at the same time. But you want to fix the whole body, the entire cellular structure. So the mitochondria in the cell. So mine is yes, put them on both right away.
Awesome, awesome. Dr. Bryan, how are these metabolized differently from drugs?
Well, first of all, when a drug is made, it's synthetic. It's not a real organic, if you will, plant. It's something that they've taken a look at and figured out what a chemical looked like and then synthesized it. And part of the problem, when we first learned chemistry, we learned about balancing equations. The body is nothing but a bunch of chemical equations that go on in it. And so when you take a plant and make it into something like these products, there's probably little parts we don't even really know all the points to. And so what happens is, like with Nerve 2, we have a pulsating manner, and it is a biofeedback where it balances itself out. When you take a drug, it goes one way. It's going to take that reaction one way, and when it does that, you're going to need another drug to come the other way to take care of the side effects. And so it's much different than taking something that's synthetic.
What's about metabolizing through liver or through kidneys?
Oh, well, going through the liver, the thing of it is, when a drug goes through the liver, it has to break off little tiny parts of that chemical. You'll see it as a chemical structure with little arms and parts that are hanging off it. As it goes through the liver, parts of that break off. It actually becomes something else when it's recycles through the body. And that process for certain things like neurotransmitter medications, antidepressants, that's why it takes so long to get them into the system and get them out, because it'll recycle for sometimes a week, and that's called the half-life of a drug. And with these products, especially when you consider the components that are in the Nerve 2, they're literally going cell by cell and cleaning out things like the liver and the kidneys so that they can operate and function very well instead of slowing them down and clogging them up.
So bottom line for two doctors, so our products are very safe with the drugs.
Yes.
To be taken with the drugs, correct?
They do not have interactions with any medications. The thing I always like to tell people, though, is you have to be respectful of how well this is going to make a body. So that may mean that they're not going to be requiring blood pressure medications down the road as their body starts returning toward health. And as that happens, you want to make sure that your doctors are aware that you are taking something that may have improvement in your health, so you need to maybe take a look at having some of your medications reduced. And that's really, really important because there's not a lot of things out there. There's things out there that'll interfere with your drugs, they'll interfere with your liver metabolism, and they will make the drugs not work properly. What this does is it helps your health improve so much that a lot of times you need the dosage reduced because you're not needing the medication nearly as much anymore.
That's awesome. Thank you. Dr. Rodarte, can someone with osteoarthritis combine glucosamine and NRF2 Protandim?
I would say that if they want to stay on their glucosamine, they can. And the nice part is when you go to PubMed, you can look up osteoarthritis and Protandim. There's actually a study there that they can refer to. Yep. And so, I would say it's much better than glucosamine, and getting a pure glucosamine is very difficult and very expensive. And so if they want to, I think this is where, unfortunately, doctors say taking supplements makes expensive pee. It's because, or urine, is because of some of these things are not in the best form. There's other fillers, they're not in the right way to be absorbed. But with Protandim, we have those certifications proving what is on the label is in the pill is what we are ingesting. And we have the science behind it that it is actually the most potent NRF2 activator. And with doing that, we're decreasing inflammation at the best degree right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Karen, just go online or PubMed and type fibromyalgia, rheumatica, and oxidative stress. It will give you the idea of the link between two of them, or just search NRF2 and fibromyalgia, rheumatica. And again, it will, and then tie the notes. It will give you a pretty good idea. Rachel, I have a young lady that just went through breast cancer and not feeling too much yet with NRF2, but only been on maybe 2 months. Would you suggest the essentials?
Definitely.
Okay, you've heard the doctor.
Is she on chemotherapy?
She will type later. I don't see that.
Even with chemotherapy, I don't know if Dr. Rodarte wants to touch on this, but with the, my oncologist here in Arizona is probably one of the top, he's the top oncology hematologist here in the Valley. He guest teaches at Harvard. I mean, he is really well known. And he at first said absolutely not during chemotherapy, and he has changed that tune. And so now we are utilizing the NRF2 during chemotherapy, and then utilizing the NRF1 as soon as chemotherapy is finished. And really, truly seeing some, you know, I'm 3 years out now watching people, and I don't have people come to me that are well. I receive questions and requests from people that are very ill. And we are seeing some really, truly remarkable things when the body gets to be back where it's supposed to be, creating its own antioxidants and turning on those pathways again. We see some amazing healing. And I think we have a study, Sveta, don't we have a study showing that during chemo, it's chemoprotective to health cells, and it helps the chemotherapy to kill the bad cells.
The question is, how far from chemotherapy would you recommend NRF1 per ton, and what's the time frame?
I think it does depend on the kind of cancer.
Right.
And from what I'm seeing, for the most part, it's anywhere from usually about 2 to 4 weeks all the way up to 2 months. It depends on what is and how long they've been on the cancer treatment.
So with NRF2 per ton, guys, your experience again with chemotherapy, sometimes I know now it's propagated sometimes during the whole course, but if it's in between treatments, and how far? A couple days after the treatment?
Yes, in fact, I get a lot of questions in regard to what they should do before surgeries. And it's really important when someone, for whatever reason, is going in for surgery, for them to stop at least 5 to 7 days out, just because of clotting factors, and that's with pretty much anything. But with chemotherapy, you know, you want to let the chemo get to do, usually it's 2 to 3 days after you actually receive the chemotherapy where it's doing its heaviest work. And so if they're going to do it in between treatments, I would say they need to go out at least 5 to 7 days after then.
Awesome, thank you. Paula Gibson from Canada, I love you. We're done with chemotherapy. How do you help with the detox side effects?
Well, I can say something, and I'll see what Dr. Bryan says too, but you know, if it's starting to clean things up, I tell people you can either push through it, it's okay, drink lots of water, sleep a little bit more and push through it, let it clean out the system. Or if you're someone who doesn't like that, to know that you're going through detoxification, cut it in half or take it every other day, and you'll have a slower detox kind of feeling. But most of the time, it's just in the first few days, you might feel like you a little bit maybe are run down, or maybe are getting the flu, but you're not really getting the flu. Your body's responding, and your liver is getting rid of the crap that's around it. So I say push through it, hydrate, and sleep a little bit more, and get you on to better health.
Awesome.
I absolutely agree 100%. There are times when people are on a lot of medications, and if they are, a lot of things are going to start happening. So in those cases, sometimes we have to go a little bit slower just because we're going to have to start making some adjustments with what's going on with medications. But for the most part, I'm with Melody. I would just soon just get on with it and move through it, because honestly, they're going to feel, you don't want to have to wait to feel better. If people really truly knew how I feel now compared to how I felt 3 years ago, we'd have 50 million people on this stuff. I'm not kidding. It just changes your system that much.
That's awesome. Thank you. Rachel, in terms of autistic children, I know that have a taste, they have a very different taste preferences and stuff. Mm-hmm. One just has to find the way how to squeeze it into them. Both Axio, NRF1, NRF2 for autistic kids. Of course, ProBio, because their microgut is not functioning properly. It's a struggle. Just the parent has to find the way, and every autistic child is different. So it's just you've got to be inventive as a parent and just find the way, whether it's through juice, whether it's through smoothie, something. Good luck with this. Cerebral palsy. Well, I probably will answer this question because I have a tremendous, I have a family in my business, their parents, it's a family with 3 kids with cerebral palsy. The parents are absolutely amazing. And we put the kids on every product. You need to see the results. Mm-hmm. You need to see the little boy who was not walking and who is running now on stage and stuff. To tears, just tears. How can Pretendum help with scleroderma? Doctors?
Well, it's an autoimmune disorder. So, with autoimmune disorders, we're more linked to inflammation, and things in our diet can affect it. We're more susceptible to other autoimmune disorders. So when someone tells me, and as I'm kind of looking through some of the questions, if you just want to type into Google Scholar or PubMed, NRF2, and name that disease, you're going to see what oxidative stress does to it. And that is one of those, that's an autoimmune process, and you want to decrease inflammation. It's the root cause of so many of these things were popping up in these questions. And so what happens when we reduce stress? The cell starts to act a little bit normal and maybe resumes back to normalcy, but we are definitely reducing chronic disease.
I think the other thing that I like to bring up about it as well is that anti-fibrolytic. And when you have all those fibers and scarring going on, to have not only the enzymes that are not fibrolytic, that keep things soft, but also reducing the ones that do cause the fiber. And I think we kind of forget about those sometimes, because that scarring, that is such an important thing for the outside. Also, all our blood vessels on the inside, that's just really kind of like skin on the inside if you think about it. And all of those things, as time goes on, it's not just the inflammation, it's the damage that inflammation causes. And that's where it works on both avenues of those.
Amazing, thank you. Guys, just one disclaimer, of course, like 3 doctors on the panel, we don't claim to treat, cure, or mitigate disease. So please don't go on YouTube and start, posting things that we have the cure of all. Let me answer the question very fast. Milk thistle and breast cancer concerns? No. We're done. No.
No, none.
Very confident, no. Now, could any of the products help with Rett syndrome? Of course. Rett syndrome is a neurodegenerative condition, so I will strongly encourage you to go on PubMed or Google Scholar. Again, type Rett syndrome, oxidative stress. So Rett syndrome, to me, NRF2, NRF1, yes, absolutely, guys. We're like the question galore, and some of us need to leave in 4 minutes, so we're going to answer for the next 4 minutes. And obviously, we need to bring those ladies back. So, so Rett syndrome as neurodegenerative, NRF1, NRF2 pretendum, probiotics, and Axio. And I may sound like a broken phone.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. We sound like a broken record, but this is because those things are what are making our system well. This is a wellness to our system. And when our system is well, we don't have to treat this for that and this for that and this for that. What we're trying to do is make the system well. And when the whole body starts operating out of wellness, those things start taking care of themselves.
Awesome. Nancy, this is for you. Any issues with Protandim and Tecfidera at the same time?
There really isn't. I just really struggle trying to understand why anyone would want to take Tecfidera when they list death as a side effect. Honestly, why would you want to even risk it? That's, to me, I just don't understand, knowing what we know with their studies saying this was the therapeutic choice that they had in their own studies. Side by side, they said that Protandim was the therapeutic choice for treating MS. I don't know how much more clear it could be. And they paid for the study. So for me, I'm not going to tell someone to stop taking Tecfidera. They can go ahead and take it, but I don't know how much the nerve-2 activation is going to help, because that turns it on all the time, and it's the pulsating manner from Protandim that makes it so effective, and the Tecfidera not effective.
Thank you. Kathy, does it make sense to take probiotic during chemo? Yes, it does. However, it may create some danger. I think it has to be. It's a tricky question because chemotherapy is an immunosuppressant. And despite that we are introducing the proper microgut, I don't know, guys, help me out.
I still have some questions with regard because of the Wellmune that's in there.
Correct.
So is that your feeling too on that, Melody?
That's mine too. I would say, I think probiotics are essential, but I'm not sure if we have anything to really talk about the Wellmune portion of it, helping our neutrophils. So I think it probably depends on the type of cancer, where the cancer is. But I am definitely for probiotics during, and we do know that there are other probiotics that are just not as potent as ours, and not getting to where they need to be. But there are some other probiotics. I would say yes to probiotics, but I can't fully tell you about my thought process on Wellmune.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, now if Dr. Rodarte has to go, Nancy, are you okay to stay and answer more questions?
I could say
okay, terrific. But guys, would we say all of us thank you to Dr. Rodarte and wish her an amazing trip to Israel. She is going to Israel, and I'm extremely jealous.
Me too.
And we'll see her in Orlando.
I know.
Thank you,
Melody. Can't wait to see you there.
Me too.
Thank you. Great. Thanks. Keep it going.
Okay. Does Axio help with detox? Yes, it will, because it will keep you hydrated. And it will give you vitamins, and it will give you antioxidants, and it will keep your brain sharp. Absolutely will. Drink away.
Yes. And the B12 really helps too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
okay, so I had some positive results with scleroderma and joint and anxiety. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. How can we get this recording later on? Amazing question. How about effect on brain function, especially after stroke or brain injury? Nancy, would you like to cover it? It's called glutathione. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, it's just amazing what glutathione can do in terms of repair for our brain. And the thing that we see so often is when there's injury to the brain, there's the major problem with injury is the fact that we have such decreases in these neurotransmitters, and we get such huge inflammation, massive inflammation. And so when you take a look at what the whole process of what this is going to do, it's going to help to heal where they have the injuries, the mitochondrial repair. Sveta, why don't you talk about that a minute? The NRF1 is amazing.
listen, guys, so there are studies in terms of acute vessel injury, acute brain injury. Well, obviously, stroke is acute vascular injury. And what happened during this injury, your mitochondria dumps. It goes absolutely, it is crushed. Your mitochondria is crushed. This is an acute period. Your glutathione level goes absolutely down into the boots. That is why, to me, this is absolutely critical. If you know somebody with a stroke, if you know somebody with a heart attack, if you know somebody with acute brain injury, to get them on both NRF1 and NRF2 activation ASAP, seriously. I don't care whether it's going to be Protandim, whether it's going to be Brussels sprouts, sulforaphane, resveratrol, they need NRF2 activation. They need NRF1 activation to bring their mitochondria to life. So yes, and yes, and yes. The only obstacle may be the physicians who will not allow you to do that. That may be the obstacle. But
also PTSD too, all of those things.
PTSD, absolutely. Concussion syndrome, concussions period. So meaning that please go into pubmed.gov and just search it. Just even when you do a superficial search, you will see the importance of whatever we said.
It is.
Okay, I think we are done with the questions, and I am going to stop recording.